and welcome to the first Tarot Tuesday. I thought I was so clever in coming up with that, but turns out it's already a thing. And it makes sense as a thing. I'll be bringing this to you every week, and my intention actually would be to do it a little earlier in the day. At the moment, it's just about 1 p.m. Pacific time. I'd like to bring this to you ideally around 10 a.m. Pacific time. It took me a little bit to kind of get set up and figure out how I want to do this. I want it to be a little bit off the cuff, but just setting up my computer and my microphone took me a few minutes, and I had some other things I needed to do beforehand, like cut my hair. So, I work with the Thoth deck. A lot of people don't like this deck because it was designed by Aleister Crowley, and some people see it as a very dark magic deck. And that's not a completely unfounded feeling, and I certainly respect that. I don't do dark magic. I received this deck in 1986 from a friend, and it took me about 12 years, I would say, of intensive study to just start getting an inkling of what the deck was all about and to understand it. It has a lot of cross symbolism. I started out initially studying astrology in my early teens, and just as an aside, I had pneumonia when I was 12. It was bacterial pneumonia, not viral pneumonia. And with bacterial pneumonia, that's the one that kills you. So I was out of commission for about 4 months, 4.5 months, completely bedridden, and they thought I might die. But I pulled through, and because I had missed so much school, the school district sent a tutor to me with all of my back schoolwork from my teachers. I was in middle school, so I had a variety of teachers. And so I was assigned the tutor for 2 weeks, and I got through all my schoolwork in 1 week. And she turned to me and she said, "Well, you still have me for another week. What would you like to do?" And she offered to teach me about genealogy and astrology, which were two of her big hobbies. And I said, "Sure, let's do it." So we spent a lot of time at the public library. I learned how to do a birth chart by hand, how to look up the planets using an ephemeris. Because this was a long time ago. I'm in my 50s now, so this was a long, long time ago. You had to do everything by hand. And I also got really into genealogy. She showed me how to look through census records using a microfiche and microfilm. I kind of ended up dropping the genealogy. It was really tedious work. Casting birth charts was really tedious work too, but it just fired me up, and just reading about the signs and the planets and the interconnectedness and the aspects and so on. I never really let that go. And then when I was, I don't know, a couple of years later, my brother showed up, my older brother showed up one time with a Rider-Waite deck that he had gotten from a friend. And he said, "Hey, come here. I've got something." And we just started doing readings with each other. And he tired of it pretty quickly, but I didn't. I kept borrowing the deck, and he finally just said, "Well, why don't you keep it?" So I was really into tarot through most of my teens and astrology. And when I got when I got the tote deck, it fascinated me that it had a lot of astrology built in. And I leveraged that knowledge in order to help me understand the deck. And of course, it's got the whole tetragrammaton and the tree of life and all that extra symbolism built in. Of course, suddenly I'm like at a loss for words, and I'm still always learning more about the deck. But this deck and I are good friends, and a lot of the times it doesn't give me the reading that I want. It will give me the reading that I need. And it trusts me, and I trust it. So that's the deck that I'll be working with. I do a lot of single card readings, which I find are extraordinarily powerful. But in doing Tarot Tuesdays, I will be doing a more complete reading. Some weeks I'll do maybe just a past, present, future 3-card reading, and other times I'll do a Celtic Cross. I don't go into fancy spreads. I have never found them particularly useful. I don't think they necessarily illustrate anything more than what either a 1-card, a 3-card, or a Celtic Cross would do. I just recently started working with the Handel deck, and which is mind-blowing deck. That's going to take me some time to really understand and get into. And that's the only deck that I would ever do a different kind of layout with, because the deck is designed to be used in that way. So there you go. I'm going to have to move the camera. I'm just using my laptop camera, which is why the quality is not HD. And my laptop is old. It's from 2010. So it's not a high definition camera, which is great because it's not showing all the lines in my face. What can I say? Little tea, little sip of tea. And I do hope that you'll join me in drinking tea as we do these. But I'll need to stop for a moment and move my camera up so that there'll be room for me to do my layout. So I'm going to pause and then re-record. Okay. Chair's going to squeak on the tile. I apologize for that. Yikes. Oh, God. Maybe I'll be able to mute that out, but with my channel, I'm trying really hard to do minimal editing. Ugh. It's caught on the table leg. The reason I'm trying to do minimal editing is because I have chronic pain. And I'm just trying to keep things simple and old school. So, just because physically I need to. But I do want to bring you the best experience I can within my limitations. I'm drinking this right-handed. I think if I drink it left-handed, I'll be able to show you my beautiful cup with my beautiful lipstick stains on it. Anyway. Isn't that pretty? Beautiful butterfly. The tea that I'm drinking, my preferred tea, is Constant Comment by Bigelow. This is not sponsored, but I wouldn't mind if it were. Call me, Bigelow. Give me a call. phone on Do Not Disturb just in case. Because I'm so popular. Oh, no. There we go. You never know. I get a lot of, just, spam. Spam. Alrighty. Now, I do want my microphone here. Well, no, I'm going to move my microphone to the side slightly. Bear with me. That was probably loud. That was probably loud. This scarf, you'll see it's a scarf. It's a UC Santa Cruz banana slug scarf. It's a silk scarf. I've kept this deck wrapped in this silk scarf, blue silk, since 1989. And I just sewed these linen napkins. There's 2 of them. Not that you can tell. I just did that yesterday in order to stiffen the material a bit, because I like to do my layout on it. I don't want my deck touching any other surfaces. But this scarf has always been so flimsy that when I try to do a layout on it, it just ends up bunching up. So one of my brothers suggested, hey, why don't you use these napkins? And I thought, okay, that's a good idea. I don't really like how it looks. So I just hand stitched that. It'll be easy enough to change if I can find something nicer. And of course it didn't fit all the way. Ideally I would have like a velvet or something. I think that would be so much nicer. But then, of course, it would be hard to just tie. I'd need some other way of closing it. But all right, let's do this. So this will be a general reading, just for the week coming, just to see how are things. And I live in California. And wherever you are watching, today is April 28th, 2020. We are in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. I say in the middle. We are in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. Many places are on complete lockdown. Others are on shelter in place with some movement allowed. I think in California we've got probably a pretty good amount of leeway. We can go out and about provided we wear masks and we socially distance ourselves. No hugging. No gathering. A lot of us are having issues signing up for unemployment benefits, getting through on those lines. A lot of us have jobs that are at risk. A lot of us are at high-risk jobs, working very hard and feeling exhausted. A lot of us are in relationships where our partner lives in another town or city and we can't see them. A lot of us are alone with family whom we can't see. So, stimulus checks, tests and PPE that we're supposed to get aren't available, etc., etc. A lot of uncertainty, frustration, cabin fever. Cleaner air, waters that are recovering, little to no traffic. What's really going on? I won't be using a significator. A significator will just be understood as all of us. So I can't define that. But dear deck, lovely car alarm going. My dear friend, I also don't do reversals. This deck was not designed to use reversals. Some people do anyway. I do not. I think the deck speaks loudly without them. But my dear, dear friend, what does the week hold for us? This will be a Celtic Cross. What's going on? What do we need to know? I'm trying to tune myself past the car alarm. I shuffle the deck until the deck tells me I'm done. Sometimes it does that through becoming too stiff. Sometimes it does that through popping out a card. Or sometimes it's just indicates to me that it's ready to be done. And when it does that, I do one more shuffle for good measure. So I don't do a finite number ever. It's always kind of loose. One more. And I always take them in my left hand. If I were doing a reading with a person in front of me, I would have them take the cards in their left hand. And I cut 3 piles to the left. It's indicating the middle pile. Were I to be doing it with the live person, I'd have them cut 3 piles to the left, and then I would take the pile that indicates and then stack them. So this covers. Oh, hello. This crosses. This is beneath. This is behind. This is above. This is before. This is in the self. This is in the mind. This is in the environment. This is the outcome. Oh my. Okay. So always the first thing that I look at, first thing that I notice is how many major arcana cards are in the layout as opposed to minor arcana. Major arcana cards are cards such as the Hanged Man, Death, the Hermit. These cards are like Jungian archetypes or the angels of the tarot. And the reason I look at those first is because they're forces that you have no control over. They're things that, they're powers that are beyond your ability to, they're external forces, let's say that. They're external forces that are working either for or against you, but that you don't have any direct control over. Whereas the minor arcana cards, which are more like a standard deck of cards, these are cards that you do have more of your own will able to affect. They're internal forces. So in this spread, there are predominantly minor arcana cards. So that's nice because over the coming week, whatever ends up happening, all of us, because this is a spread for all of us, whatever ends up happening for us, we'll have a lot of control over how we respond to it, how we deal with whatever ends up happening. So that's good. Let's look first at the card that covers. And we have here the Queen of Discs. And discs represent Earth. In other decks, they are pentacles. It's the material, it's wealth, it's money. And the Queen is deeply wise, she's looking out over the plains. She holds her scepter, and behind her is the ram, and she has a giant disc in her arm. Sorry for my camera quality. But she represents deep wisdom and stability and control. So this is the major influence over us in the coming week will be stability and material stability more than anything else. A calmness, an earthy calmness, a groundedness. And of course, the feminine. So there won't be a harshness to it. It'll be soft. What covers her is one of the major arcana, and he's the Hanged Man. Oh gosh, for some reason, the light reflecting on the card is making it very difficult to see. So he is the Hanged Man. And he represents waiting, indecision, things not yet come to pass. So perhaps it will be in light of the way things are in the world, I suspect, more than anything, that it would just be a matter of waiting. Patience being required. In the below card, which is sometimes read as the subconscious, the underlying forces of the matter, or the subconscious ideas to the matter, or the basis of the matter. We have the Six of Swords, science, and here's where some astrology comes into play. It's also Mercury in Aquarius. I'll show you the card. The Six of Swords. The six swords all coming to a point. In the center, we have a cross. And there's a lot of electrical energy in the background. Lightning going off everywhere in every direction. This card is known as science. Mercury in Aquarius is very well placed. Mercury being speed and swiftness and ideas and mental energy, and Aquarius being a very thinky air sign with brimming with ideas and new ways of doing things, always thinking outside, coloring outside the lines, if you will. And so in light of what the world is going through, we have been trying to solve this in unique ways. We have been looking at many different solutions in an attempt to figure it out. So to me, that makes perfect sense. And the card behind refers to the recent past. And here we have the Ten of Wands, which is known as oppression and is Saturn in Sagittarius. Let me show you the card. Try and keep the glare off of it. And you can see there are 8 wands in the background that are crossed in various ways. And then there are 2 strong wands in the foreground that are overpowering the wands in the background. Now, Saturn, the planet Saturn, is the disciplinarian of the zodiac. And Sagittarius is the free spirit of the zodiac. So, this is very hard on Sagittarius, but sometimes necessary. The wands are the fiery element of the tarot. And the 10 of the tarot is the full realization of the suit. It's the 10 is always the last card of the suit before rolling over into the 1 of the next suit. So in this case, the 10 of wands rolls into the Ace of Cups is the very next card. So it's the finality, sort of the last gasp, if you will, of the energy of the wands. And that's in the recent past. It makes me think of some of the protesters that we've had in a few states in my country, the United States of America, who've been insisting that sequestering is not a good idea, and they need to get their hair dyed, and they need to gather and have their barbecues and fertilize their lawns. I'd be very interested to see whatever fallout happens with those people, like how many of them end up in the hospital and die. I don't know. But there could be other situations that this refers to as well, like the doctor who recently committed suicide because she was just so overwhelmed by what she was seeing in the ER. She couldn't take it anymore. This is that type of energy. I'm deliberately not following the coronavirus news too closely. I'm deliberately staying away from it as much as I can because it is so depressing. And I mean, I personally don't see any need to immerse myself in it. I'm staying aware of my local area's guidelines as far as disinfecting goes. I've got a stack of masks, and I've got a spray, that I spray my shoes with, and I spray packages with. I've got an airtight container that I wipe things down with little wipes that I wipe things down with, when I come in the house, and so on and so forth. But as far as digging into the news, I don't see really any point in that, because it is so upsetting. I don't know how much you're able to. If you can do that and stay strong, I commend you. Maybe I'm making a mistake, but I don't think so. Because honestly, my personal opinion, and that's not, let me move away from the reading for just a second. I suspect that this whole thing is gonna actually take a lot longer than any of us dare to realize. I think I would not be surprised if we had to sequester for the rest of the year. So I'm kind of gearing myself up for that. And I think we're going to see a lot of food shortages and so on. So I'm not following the news. There's going to be a cascading effect through all of our industries. And yeah. Okay. Back to the reading. There is actually some really good news in this reading. Above, if below is the subconscious, then above is the conscious mind. And here we have a gift. And as far as the conscious mind goes, this is absolutely wonderful. We have the Ace of Swords. Swords refer to mental energy, to begin with, the intellect. And the ace, sorry, I see the squirrel climbing down the back fence to come and steal some bird food that has spilled. We have a lot of birds and squirrels around here, and I encourage them as much as I can, because I just love it. It's like Wild Kingdom in my little back area. The ace is the introduction of the energy. It's not yet made manifest, because it's the ace. It's not made manifest until it moves into the 2. So it's the concept of the energy about to manifest into the material. It's almost like the God principle of the energy. So here's this gift of pure intellect coming into the consciousness of all of us. It's like our crown chakra going to be allowed to just open up, and new ideas will be allowed to emerge out of that, which will lead to, in the near future, which in this case is over the course of the week, because this is the timeline for the reading, to the near future, which is the transformative card of the Major Arcana, card 13. And 13 is not an unlucky number. Westerners completely have it wrong. In Asian cultures, 13 is actually a very lucky number, and we need to change our mindset on that. And this is death, which is transformation, which is ultimate change within the spirit and the mind. So, we have the opportunity for deep transformation this week. And so I think this is a very beautiful thing. Which leads us to, within the self, we have another major arcana card, the Hermit. Now, the Hermit kind of reflects the tale of Diogenes, who, with his lantern, went into the maze, seeking an honest man, a true and honest man, and he was unsuccessful in his quest, unfortunately. But the Hermit could be successful. This is in the self, searching for truth. We are searching for truth. We want to know the real deal. We need to know the real deal. We need the truth. We need to know answers. And down here is Cerberus, the three-headed dog. This is a very powerful card. Searching for answers, searching for truth, having transformation, having that enlightenment of the Ace of Swords. In the environment, we have the Prince of Cups. Now, sometimes, depending on what reading, where he falls in the reading, sometimes he's ineffectual. But I would say in the case of this reading, his true strengths would come through. He has the potential for bringing a great deal of love and joy and spiritual understanding. And in the environment, we have the 10 of Cups. And these 10 cups are completely overflowing. Just overflowing. Like beams of light are shining out of them. They're so full of love and joy. And it is the completion, the ultimate completion of love. And this is Mars. Shoot, I've forgotten which side it's in. I don't think it says. But it's satiety. We are full. We were completely full of love and joy. And this is in the mind. So the transformation that we will have, and the truth that we will seek, the enlightenment that we will receive, that will lead to the transformation, and the truth that we seek, and the love that is in the environment, or will lead to this incredible love, and the outcome will be virtue. And this is the Sun in Aries. This is the Three of Wands. And although it's fiery wand energy, they look like flowers. And the fire is just this purity, just glowing, wonderful, beautiful. So I feel very positive, actually, in spite of the fact that we're going through such a hard time. And there are things that we will have to wait for. We're not going to have all the answers right away. We do need to be patient. But in spite of that, because we've been seeking answers, because we've been questing, the oppression is behind us, and we will have an aha moment. And if we allow it to, we can transform. And we can receive happiness. And we should allow ourselves to accept that beautiful, warm virtue. So, that's just what I see. That's what the cards are telling me. I'm always curious to see how it all falls out in reality, you know? So, this is on the record now. Let's see what happens and how it actually all falls out. And like, oh, okay, well, the reading said this. Oh, this is that. Okay, I was a little different. I don't know, sometimes it's like exactly spot on. Sometimes the way it comes out is like slightly different. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I hope it helps. I hope this helps you find some kind of peace, at least, or strength, or whatever it is. I personally struggle with anxiety and depression. Probably doesn't show because I'm kind of bubbly and outgoing when I'm my normal self, but I do have my struggles. But I'm working on it. What can you do? You just work on it, right? So we'll see what happens. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of this. Let me know what part of the reading indicated to you and felt like something that you could hold on to, or if there were any parts that just didn't really make sense. You know, I'd love to hear anything and everything. And, you know, I'm open to civil discussion and criticism, feedback, you know. I'm a big girl. I can take it as long as you're polite. You know, don't be an asshole. And we'll see. So thank you again. Bright blessings to you all. I love you.